If you're watching this right now, it's not by chance. You've been the kind of person who has spent their whole life underestimated, overlooked, and pushed aside. Yet you kept moving when others expected you to break. The pressure, the doubt, the criticism, none of it stopped you. Instead, it sharpened you. While most people collapse under adversity, you learned to rise above it with more focus, more discipline, and more determination. They didn't expect you to survive certain situations, let alone grow from them. But you transformed every setback into strength. That's why you're considered a national risk, not to society, but to limitations, excuses, and low expectations. Your resilience disrupts the patterns that hold others back, and now you are stepping into a version of yourself that can't be ignored or dismissed. Before we continue, pause this video, hit that like button, subscribe so we can reach 5,000 subscribers, and drop my name, Mr. Ledger, in the comments to show you're locked in. Now, let's get into it. People don't call you a risk because you're dangerous. They call you that because you disrupt the narratives they built about you. You weren't supposed to think this clearly, move this strategically, or rise this steadily. To them, your growth feels like a warning sign, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're refusing to remain who they expected you to be. And nothing unsettles people more than someone who outgrows their assigned place. When you're judged, doubted, or misread, remember this. You don't win by arguing with them. You win by outpacing them quietly, consistently, without breaking your focus. When they label you a threat, they're handing you the blueprint. Your job is to show them that they were absolutely right about your potential, even if they misunderstood the source of it. The smartest response to being underestimated is elevation, not revenge, not noise, just undeniable results. Just a version of yourself so sharpened, so disciplined, and so resilient that the people who once questioned you now struggle to even meet your eyes. That's how you prove them right, on your own terms. Many people confuse silence with weakness. They think that because you don't shout, you don't feel. Because you don't retaliate, you can't fight back. But what they didn't realize is that you were conserving your energy for battles that mattered. You weren't avoiding conflict, you were choosing your battlefield. Your power was never loud, it was consistent. It lived in your ability to keep going when everything around you told you to stop. It lived in your capacity to carry pain and still move with purpose. People who rely on noise overlook people like you, people whose strength is built quietly through endurance, observation, and self-control. Now, they're starting to see it. Now, they're realizing that your calm wasn't weakness, it was discipline. And the moment that truth hit them, the entire narrative they built about you collapsed. Because nothing frightens the world more than someone who refuses to break. The biggest accomplishment isn't surpassing what others expected from you. It's doing it without compromising who you are. Many people rise by becoming someone they no longer recognize, but you rose by becoming more of yourself. You kept your values intact even when the world encouraged you to abandon them. People expected you to lash out, to crack under pressure, to lose your stability. Instead, you handled setbacks like stepping stones. You didn't crumble. You recalibrated. Every move you made was intentional, not reactive. While others relied on force, you relied on strategy. Breaking expectations isn't about destruction. It's about direction. You didn't tear yourself apart to succeed. You rebuilt yourself into someone stronger. That's the difference between temporary success and lifelong strength. And you chose strength. There are people who saw your potential long before you did, and instead of supporting it, they tried to silence it, not because you were doing anything wrong, but because your progress exposed their stagnation. Your growth made them uncomfortable. And instead of growing with you, they tried to shrink you down. But here's the beautiful truth. Strength that's natural can't be muted. It can only be delayed. Every attempt to dim your light only sharpened your understanding of who you are. Slowly you learned when to speak, when to stay silent, and when to let your actions do all the talking. Today, the strength they tried to quiet has become the strength they can no longer ignore. Their doubt became your discipline. Their resistance became your training. They didn't stop you. They built you. You didn't grow in comfortable conditions. You weren't handed opportunities. You weren't surrounded by applause. You were forged in environments where you had to prove yourself every single day, sometimes to people who never intended to acknowledge your effort. Those pressures didn't break you. They refined you. You learned to adapt faster, observe sharper, and move smarter because you had no choice. You weren't cushioned by safety nets. You built your own. Pain became a teacher. Setbacks became mentors. Every challenge carved out a new layer of resilience in you. The reason you stand out today is simple. Praise didn't build you. Pressure did. And anything built under pressure lasts longer, stands taller, and hits harder. If people had their way, you wouldn't be here right now. Not at this level. Not with this clarity. Not with this power. You were underestimated on purpose because it made others feel safer. They downplayed your abilities because acknowledging them would have required them to step up themselves. But you kept going anyway. You watched people doubt you, laugh behind your back, or quietly hope you'd fail just enough to stay predictable. But you weren't built for predictability. You were built for progress. And whether they admit it or not, your presence disrupts the comfort zones they cling to. The truth is, you weren't supposed to make it this far, according to them. But according to your effort, your discipline, your grit, you were always meant to be exactly where you are. Life didn't hand you lessons gently. It threw them at you hard. And each time you found a way to absorb, adjust, and advance. You realized early that obstacles weren't punishments, they were practice. Unfair situations taught you patience. Difficult people taught you boundaries. Unexpected setbacks taught you creativity. Looking back, you can see it clearly. Every hardship was shaping a skill you would eventually need. While others coasted through comfort, you were training in the trenches. You were learning strength the long way, the real way, the way that actually lasts. Those obstacles weren't there to stop you. They were there to prepare you. And now, you're stepping into a chapter that requires everything you learned. People saw you go through moments that should have broken you. They witnessed situations that would have crushed someone else. And instead of offering support, they simply watched, maybe out of curiosity, maybe out of doubt, maybe out of quiet hope that you wouldn't rise. But you did. And that choice wasn't an accident. You rose because something inside you refused to stay down. You rose because you'd spent your entire life getting back up. And you weren't going to stop now. Rising wasn't an emotional decision. It was your identity. They watched you struggle, but they never saw what happened internally. The conversations you had with yourself. The strength you built. The clarity you gained. That's why your rise looks impossible from the outside. They saw the fall, not the fight. You're not loud about your goals. You're not dramatic about your progress. And because of that, people mistake your calm nature for a lack of ambition. But the truth is, you compete differently. You move like someone who understands that real wins are organic, not forced. Your calm is your advantage. While others rush, you calculate. While others panic, you pivot. While others search for shortcuts, you build foundations. That's why your success feels sudden to the people who weren't paying attention. It wasn't sudden. It was steady. You're the competitor who enters the race quietly and finishes it shockingly. And that makes you unforgettable. Consistency is the trait people underestimate the most. They expect intensity. They don't expect endurance. Anyone can show up strong once, but showing up strong every day, that's rare, that's powerful, that's disruptive. Your consistency frightened people because it exposed their inconsistency. It showed them what discipline really looks like. You didn't need to be flashy or extreme. Your commitment was enough to shift the entire atmosphere around you. And now, as your progress becomes visible, people are calling it sudden success. But you know the truth. Nothing about this was sudden. It was earned repeatedly. You've walked into rooms where people silently hoped you wouldn't realize your worth. Spaces where they counted on your uncertainty. Situations where they expected you to play small so they wouldn't have to adjust themselves. But you didn't shrink. You observed, understood, and then elevated. You stood tall, not out of arrogance, but out of acknowledgement. Acknowledgement of your journey, your effort, your identity. Your presence in those rooms wasn't a mistake. It was the result of everything you survived to get there. And now, you no longer match rooms. You transform them. You don't dim your energy. You direct it. You've become the person you once needed. Being underestimated is uncomfortable, but it's also one of the most powerful positions you can hold. It gives you room to work quietly while others relax. It gives you space to develop in shadows while they assume you're stagnant. And most importantly, it gives you the element of surprise. People only fear what they prepare for. They didn't prepare for you. They didn't prepare for your discipline, your clarity, or your ability to turn setbacks into strategies. They expected little, and you built a lot. Being underestimated didn't limit you. It freed you. It allowed you to become unstoppable without anyone noticing until it was too late. Every time someone doubted you, it planted a seed, not of insecurity, but of motivation. You didn't respond emotionally. You responded with improvement. You turned skepticism into routine, criticism into fuel, and rejection into responsibility. You realized that a discipline is the only answer that silences doubt permanently. Noise fades, opinions shift, but results stay. And you chose results. You chose to build a life that speaks louder than any judgment ever could. Your discipline became your voice, your shield, and your power. Doubt didn't destroy you. It trained you. People love blaming the system, but you discovered something deeper. The real barriers were the limits others placed on your name. And instead of trying to destroy the system, you outgrew it. You outmaneuvered it. You figured out how to succeed without betraying yourself. Your progress didn't happen because rules changed. It happened because you changed. You changed the way you thought, the way you moved, the way you reacted. You broke patterns that kept generations stuck. You walked through walls people swore couldn't be moved. You didn't break the system. You broke the limits. And once limits break, they never rebuild the same way again. Everything you've been through was preparation for what comes next. Not the past, not the pain, not the pressure. The next move, this next decision you make, this next step you take, has the power to reroute the entire trajectory of your life. You're no longer acting from survival. You're acting from strength. You're not trying to prove people wrong anymore. You're proving yourself right. The version of you that's emerging now is smarter, calmer, sharper, and more intentional than any version before. Your next move isn't just important, it's transformative. And for the first time, the world won't just feel your presence. They'll have to respect it. People often fear what they can't control. They thought they could intimidate you into staying small, but your rise was inevitable. Every challenge they threw, Every subtle attempt to slow you down only taught you patience and sharpened your vision. They feared your potential more than your mistakes. Your growth became a mirror for everyone else's doubts. They saw what you were capable of long before you fully realized it. And that fear they projected, it fueled you quietly, relentlessly. You learned that their judgment could either cripple you or sharpen you, and you chose the latter. Now, the same people who predicted your downfall are scrambling to keep up. They didn't expect someone with such quiet, unstoppable momentum to emerge. But momentum doesn't ask for permission. It demands recognition, and you're taking it without hesitation. Your journey wasn't about applause or instant recognition. It was about endurance. While others chased short-term victories, you were building systems, habits, and a mindset that could withstand years of pressure. Real strength doesn't seek validation. It survives, thrives, and surprises everyone at the finish line. Every late night, every sacrifice, every obstacle became a brick in your foundation. People might have laughed at your slow pace, but your consistency and discipline were quietly forming a legacy. Success built to last is never flashy. It's unstoppable. Now that your foundation is solid, you move with an authority that's unshakable. You don't need permission to succeed. The results speak louder than opinions ever could, proving that lasting power beats fleeting recognition every time. Where most people see pressure and panic, you see opportunity and growth. You've spent your life under scrutiny, facing impossible odds, and yet, instead of breaking, you've learned to use it as a tool. Pressure is no longer a burden. It's your playground. Every high-stakes moment became a lesson in resilience. The more they tried to intimidate you, the sharper your strategies became. While others froze, you adapted. While others complained, you created solutions. Pressure no longer shapes you. It shapes your victories. And now, the world sees the result of that mindset. Someone who thrives in chaos. Someone whose calm in the storm is now legendary. You've learned the secret others never do. Pressure is just another way to measure your greatness. Expectations are like invisible chains, but you learned to shatter them daily. Every morning you rise knowing that the world's assumptions are merely benchmarks for your potential. They expect mediocrity, but you deliver excellence repeatedly. Your work ethic is a silent rebellion. People talk about talent, luck, or opportunity, but the truth is, consistency and relentless effort are the real game changers, and you've proven it day in and day out by outworking the people who underestimated you. The beauty is that no one can fully anticipate someone who refuses to quit. You've become a force that's both consistent and unpredictable, a combination that leaves observers in awe and competitors scrambling to match your energy. There's something poetic about emerging stronger from situations designed to break you. People counted on your mistakes, waited for you to falter, and even celebrated when things seemed impossible. But you chose to rise anyway. Each stumble you avoided or overcame became evidence of your inner strength. The world saw you struggle, but only you knew the hours of preparation, planning, and perseverance behind each victory. You didn't just survive, they underestimated your ability to thrive. Now, when they look at you, they don't see a person who barely made it. They see someone who has mastered the art of turning adversity into opportunity. Your rise is undeniable, intentional, and unstoppable. People often underestimate the quiet, consistent energy of someone determined. Your presence alone reshapes environments because you've mastered the art of influence without noise. Strength doesn't always shout. It moves silently, with purpose, and transforms everything around it. Every action you take is calculated, intentional, and impactful. While others rely on force, you rely on strategy. While others demand attention, you earn respect. This subtle power makes you unstoppable because it's not dependent on anyone else's approval. Those who doubted you are now witnesses to an unstoppable force. What was once invisible has become undeniable. Mountains don't stand a chance against someone who refuses to bend. Life threw challenges at you, expecting them to become excuses. But you turned them into leverage. Every failure, rejection, and obstacle was analyzed, learned from, and converted into fuel. Adversity didn't weaken you. It sharpened you. The key difference is perspective. While most see obstacles as walls, you saw them as lessons, opportunities, and stepping stones. You learned how to extract value from discomfort, transforming situations that break most people into advantages only you could wield. Now, adversity no longer intimidates you. It serves you. And this skill, the ability to turn every obstacle into a weapon, is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. You've often been underestimated because of your quiet nature. People assume those who are calm are weak. But beneath the surface, a storm has been building. Your strategy, patience, and relentless discipline create a force that takes everyone by surprise. Unlike impulsive displays of power, your storm is controlled, precise, and unstoppable. It doesn't need recognition, it needs execution. And every day, your consistent actions prove that slow, deliberate mastery will always defeat noise and chaos. By the time others realize the magnitude of your strength, the storm has already transformed the landscape. Being underestimated doesn't diminish your power. It amplifies the shock of your success. Criticism is a tool, not a weapon. People throw it at you, hoping to weaken you, but you've learned to use it as guidance. Every critique, doubt, or harsh word became an opportunity to measure yourself, improve, and refine your strategy. The beauty of this approach is resilience. Where others see attack, you see direction. Where they aim to demoralize, you gain clarity. Your growth isn't determined by praise, it's determined by results, discipline, and constant improvement. Now, every time someone doubts you, they unknowingly provide fuel for the next level of your achievements. You've transformed negativity into a compass pointing straight toward success. Success doesn't wait for comfort. It doesn't wait for approval. While the world rests, you keep building, learning, and refining. The hours no one sees, the effort no one praises, are what create the unshakable foundation for triumph. You've understood that sacrifice is temporary, but achievement is lasting. Every early morning, every extra mile, every additional hour of focus accumulates into momentum that eventually overwhelms those who relied on shortcuts or luck. Rising while others sleep is more than discipline. It's a declaration, a statement that your results are earned, unstoppable, and inevitable. Limits are illusions created by fear, doubt, and expectation. You've learned to confront them head-on, proving that boundaries exist only in the minds of those who accept them. Every step forward pushes the edge of what people thought possible. What others consider impossible is merely the next level for you. You've trained your mind, honed your skills, and built resilience strong enough to challenge assumptions. Every time you surpass what was deemed unattainable, you rewrite the rules. Now, limits no longer define your reality. They define everyone else's disbelief, and you move past them again and again, leaving doubt in the dust. You don't need to scream to command attention. True power is quiet, subtle, and undeniable. It manifests in results, presence, and unwavering focus. People notice it because it can't be ignored, even when it doesn't demand recognition. Your quiet domination isn't arrogance, it's strategy. It's confidence in preparation, skill, and resilience. While others rely on volume, you rely on impact. And impact, when consistent, leaves a legacy. Those who once dismissed you are now witnesses. Quietly, relentlessly, You've become a force that reshapes expectations, environments, and standards. Doubt is inevitable. People will always question your decisions, your path, and your abilities. But you've learned that the true victory isn't in convincing them. It's in outlasting every moment of skepticism. Every doubt cast your way became a test of endurance. You didn't react with anger or justification. You reacted with persistence. You outlasted the noise, the hesitation, and the disbelief, proving that longevity always triumphs over short-lived opinion. Now, the same people who doubted you are observing a reality they didn't see coming. Outlasting doubt isn't just winning. It's redefining what others thought possible. You are not a product of circumstance. You are its architect. Every move, every decision, every step was intentional. You didn't wait for opportunity. You created it. You didn't hope for change. You built it. The people who underestimated you didn't see the blueprint unfolding. They only saw results, sudden and undeniable. But behind every visible victory is meticulous planning, disciplined execution, and relentless commitment. This level of ownership is rare. It's the difference between surviving life and mastering it. You're not just successful. You are the relentless architect of your own destiny. Every action you've taken, every obstacle you've overcome, every moment of discipline and focus has created momentum. Your legacy is no longer theoretical. It's unfolding right now, in real time, in ways that can't be ignored. People will remember the results, but you'll know the struggle, the effort, and the resilience that created them. Your story isn't just personal. It's an example, a roadmap, a challenge to everyone who thought limits were permanent. Your legacy isn't waiting for tomorrow. It's being built today with every decision, every move, and every ounce of relentless effort you continue to pour into becoming unstoppable.